Hi, I'm going to talk today about finding topics to write about for your internet marketing, and deciding on the topics to write about can be easy, or it can be the internet marketing equivalent of writer's block. Talking of blocks, some people like to do a block of research and put together a list of topics that they're going to be creating content about over the coming days and weeks. And for instance, Sean Myers teaches that approach. He calls it a 10 by 10 matrix, and you can search for that and download the PDF that explains how he suggests you do. Simple search, Sean Myers 10 by 10 matrix, and that brings up that 3-page list of instructions PDF that will take you through it. And then there's further ones further down that, so using your 10 by 10 matrix, so you've got that as well. So that's all available for free, and that works. Or at least, if it works with your personality, it's an excellent approach. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Me, personally not, but with Sean's approach, you spend an hour or so researching potential topics, put them into a reasonably logical order, and then tick them off as you create content around each of them. Personally, I find a spreadsheet easier to use for that, as I find moving cells around is a lot quicker than adding lines to a Word document and generally messing up the format. That could be me. See how you do. Other people find that a mind map suits them. There's free software out there that does mind maps, and that can be an excellent way to sort of do main topic, kind of spider's web that goes off it, and then further legs that go off that. And if you get on with mind maps, if you're not sure, there's YouTube videos to tell you or show you, but I use FreeMind, I think it is, but there's plenty of free ones out there, and they work nicely. Other people use a tried and tested sheet of paper. That works as well. So play around with how you best get on with doing your list if you go down that direction. And as with almost everything, there's no approach that's correct for everyone, and also as with pretty much everything, usually the simplest ways are best, as they don't get in the way of the actual creative process. You don't spend more time deciding how should I do my list than actually working on it. Not everyone gets on with this pre-planned approach. Depends if you're really methodical and good at that kind of thing, always did your homework on time at school, all that kind of stuff, projects handed in at work on time, rather than panic on the last 5 minutes before they were due. Up to you. But personally, I find that the approach works for me for a day or two, and then the topics don't excite me as much as I thought they did. My mood's changed, or something in the world has changed, or some other trigger has sent my attention moving in a different direction, and that's perfectly natural. And personally, that means I prefer to do some very quick research each time I create a new piece of content. I've got all sorts of ways of doing this, most of which happen in the background, and I can turn my attention or focus to whichever one grabs me the most on any given day. For instance, I decided about this topic because I'd watched a short Facebook video from someone I follow about creating daily content for 30 days. And I thought, okay, but you've got to find the content. We didn't really cover that. And I know from emails I get on a regular basis, a lot of internet marketers either don't know where to start getting ideas for their next piece of content, or suddenly they're just facing a brick wall. So that was the extent of the logic I applied. Probably took longer to explain it here than it did to decide to do it. And that's another key to topics. Go with your first instinct. It's almost certainly good, because it's almost certainly coming directly from your subconscious mind. So, digressing slightly, self-help generally suggests that our minds split into at least two parts. Some of them go further, but we'll go with two. Our conscious thinking mind, and that's the part that carries on conversations most of the time, except when you say something first and think, can I grab that back, can I go back in time? But most of the time it works, decides what to eat at our next meal, that kind of thing. And then our subconscious mind, and that's the part that does all the day-to-day stuff that's important, but we'd be just overwhelmed if we had to do it all. If you had to consciously think to take a breath, get oxygen into your blood, pump the blood around your body, get your fingernails to grow, all those different things, you'd just be overwhelmed. So subconscious does that, and that's the part that, if you get a light bulb moment, that's usually the subconscious saying, think about this. It helps nudge us towards things, so it can draw our attention briefly to something, and then it leaves it up to our thinking mind whether or not to run with the idea. So if something leaps out at you from the screen or the page, or just pops into your mind, that's your subconscious mind waving a flag at your conscious mind saying, look at me, look at this. And it's often a good place to be. I find it's especially useful for finding topics, because I'll think, yes, I could easily create some content around that topic, which is this. A slightly different approach, slightly different tack, because I'm coming at it from a different place. As I said, that's how I came up with this topic I'm talking about now. Then no second guessing, no should I, shouldn't I thoughts, just do it. All I did was open LibreOffice, start typing away. Okay, and 16 slides later, something like that. And I put lots of things in place to make sure that that kind of light bulb moment happens on a regular basis. I'm in relevant Facebook groups. I've got some Google alerts set, not too many. I find those, if I leave those going for too long, I actually just press delete rather than look at them. So they're there, but they're really background for me. They might be really foreground for you. Emails from my subscribers, relevant forums. Don't use those as much nowadays. I've found that Facebook groups seem to be taking over. There's a few bloggers in my niche, so they might post something, again, probably on Facebook or an email, and I'll think, okay, let's have a look at what they're saying. And Google suggestions as you search. I don't use all those options every day. There's too many of them. They'd be overwhelmed again. Just the ones that appeal to me on any given day, and that keeps the content I create fresh. Because I think it's important a topic is interesting to me before I create content on it. And that comes out in how things are written or spoken. If you've ever got caught up by someone else's enthusiasm, you'll know exactly what I mean. Enthusiasm is contagious. Same goes if the person you're listening to is or reading about found the topic boring, and that boredom comes out. And if you think back to some of those monotone lessons at school, it puts off the audience, and you think, if they're not enthusiastic about it, why should I be? So enthusiasm is really important. And freshness the idea helps with that enthusiasm. It doesn't matter if you created content on the subject before. It's perfectly okay. I've created lots and lots of content about finding topics. But if you search around the web, you'll know that there are very, very few really new topics. Books and films, they can be split into one of 7 basic plots. There's even a page on Wikipedia explaining it. It's about a book written by someone called Christopher Booker. But that's the plots. You'll probably recognise at least some of them. Overcoming the Monster, Rags to Riches, The Quest, Voyage and Return, Comedy, Tragedy, Rebirth. All of those, sometimes one plot per movie, sometimes more. But think about most films you've seen, most books you've read, chances are they're at least one of those plots. And most subjects you write about, they'll have a similar pattern. Probably not the movie plot style, but probably something similar. Lists. Yeah, that's what BuzzFeed and co. survive on. Shock headlines, ones that get you to click more, ones that get you to click on 1,000,001 links because they only want to do one slide per thing because they want the advertising revenue. All the sorts of different things like that. So, if you're approaching the topic fresh, you'll almost certainly automatically create a slightly different angle on it. And when I look back, as I said, of some of the videos I've created, I see that happening all the time, and I think you will too. I go into depth maybe sometimes on using Google suggestions, some Google alerts, this kind of thing, all sorts of different things. But you have to decide on a topic, and then you have to create content on it and press the publish or upload button. That way you can find out whether the world at large likes what you created. There's measures like YouTube views, blog views, whatever other method you choose to measure. And then keep creating content, because the more often you do this, the more people will find you, and the more traction you'll gain over time. There's just too much content on the web for a one-off piece of content to stand out much, if any, and it probably won't get any traction, but lots of small amounts of traffic, 1 or 2 a day, 1 or 2 a week even. If you've got 200 videos up, 1 or 2 each per week, that's a lot of traffic still. That adds up, so keep at it. And if you'd like more ideas to keep you on track with your internet marketing, click the link below this video and I'll send you regular tips and tricks, plus the occasional sales pitch for stuff I genuinely think will help you. But lots and lots of free information just in exchange for email address. So click the link now and join me. I'd love to have you with me. Okay, thanks for watching.